Actually, you ain't going to do that. You...
It's over. It's what we wanted.
Whoa.
Right, well that ain't very well.
Yeah, so can you just tell us what the idea and plan was here?
Well, to strip this engine, compare the two, because I've got another block behind there that's out of that car, which was running, but the big ends were knocking and it was smoking a bit. So I was gonna strip this engine and see what parts I could redeem off of it, but obviously the top end's had it, so there's no point in taking that apart. You've got hydraulic lifter blocks in here, which I will take out because they're always handy to have. I'll get it up in the air, take the bell housing off and the back end, and then just pop the sump, see if it's got any oil in it, pop the sump, I think it's probably more than likely got water in it, and see if we can redeem the crank. If we can, then I've got another crank to measure up and see how that matches with the other one. Because if you've got a crank on standard journals, you see, which you can do with a micrometer, then you can get new bearings for it, and then you're laughing, you know.
Okay.
You might just get away with some new pistons and a rebore. But
what car is this engine from then?
I can't remember. It's Cadillac V8, but I can't remember what car it's out of or anything because we've had so many of them. I know this is matching numbers to that car.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. Right, that's 6.3 that starts. 6380866. So the other one should start 5.3, I think, for 41. Yeah, that starts 5.3. I've got a feeling even the lifters in this might be bollocks. I think this could be
Bit of WD-40.
a pile of scrap.
So how do you make a decision on when something is just too far gone to financially worth?
It depends on whether you can get another one. That's what it boils down to, really.
Okay.
And if you want a true matching numbers car, like in theory, you shouldn't put this engine in that car because it's not the right engine.
Yeah.
But obviously that block's right. That was
Okay.
running, but it was just rattling and banging, so that needs mechanical work. What I'm trying to do is save money by having a look and see if this crank's all right. But I've got a feeling by the looks of this, it probably is all knackered.
Yeah. I know it sounds obvious. So when someone says it's got matching numbers, it was the actual engine that was in the car
Yeah.
from manufacture.
Yeah. Which is why your Ford V8s, which is a really stupid thing to do, as far as I'm concerned, the engine number is stamped on the gearbox.
Okay.
So you could have any old engine at all in it.
Yeah. But the engine number is technically just a block, isn't it?
Basically, yeah.
So you can swap out every other part from the engine apart
Yeah.
from the block, and it's still the original engine.
Yeah. I think we can forget this one. I don't even think it's worth taking the sump off, to be honest with you.
Oh. That may well have had water in there.
Yes, slight chance. That's the lifter block. So you've got your camshaft underneath that, which they would sit on like that. Yeah. That's exactly that one there. So that would sit in there. See that oil pipeline there?
Yeah.
That's that. They're hydraulic lifters. See that'll build up under pressure when the oil pressure builds up. So that hits the ends of the valves, pushes the valves up and down, and there your cam followers that sit on the camshaft. So just looking at that, that is not even worth taking apart anymore. Now that there that I'm hitting is the camshaft. which is supposed to go round and round and round and round.
Oh, I don't think it's going to be doing
That
that.
ain't going anywhere. Unless somebody really wants a 1941 block, because that's the only thing you'll save out of that, it's scrap. Cylinder heads are worth keeping. Engine mounts can come off, that oil pipe can come off, front timing chest can come off. They're all handy parts to have, you know.
So what would be plan B now then?
What I'll do is, as I say, I'll just whip a few bits off of there that are worth having. I'll take the other head off, because they're worth keeping. So if you've got a bent one, you've got 4 to skim or play around with then. That's automatic, so there's no point in taking a clutch or anything out of that. I'll speak to Melvin. I don't think he's got any other Cadillacs running at the moment. If he has, then he can have it all back as spares, because there's another engine down there as well. Well, it doesn't look too dry down there, does it?
Well, it looks almost pristine in comparison, doesn't it?
Oh, it's got oil still in there. That's a good sign. Bearings look good. It's a nice dull grey colour you want. See, if you get these pitted on the crank journals, well, it's not ideal, but it doesn't really matter because they hold oil.
Okay.
The hole, you know, like the pit hole, will actually hold oil in it.
Okay.
So it's not like it's going to dry out. Right, well, looking at that, we'll try and get a rod cap off. But looking at that, I'd say that's probably worth whipping out and having a look at. Even though that looks like rust, that's grease. Or certainly it's grease on the cap, on the bearing, look, see? Right, that's worth taking apart. They're a nice dull grey, which is the colour you want. Can't see any markings on them, so they're probably standard bearings. There's no marks on the caps anywhere, which normally indicates it hasn't been apart. All I can do now is pull it apart and see what we've got here. Okay, right, I've got to start marking up now, and ripping the rest of it apart. I think that's worth taking apart.
Oh.
We might be able to salvage something out of that with the other, because don't forget you've got another 8 set of bearings, 8 sets of rods, so you can play around, mic it all up. I'll get the crankshaft up there on a set of axle stands and we'll have a good measure up then.